Hi, my name is 𝗍𝗶𝗃𝗵𝗺𝗃, a first year student at Victoria University pursuing Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. Today, I'll talk about attachment theory, a key concept in psychology. Attachment theory explains uh, how emotional bonds between a child and a caregiver shapes a child's emotions, behavior, and also future relationships. Understanding this theory helps us see why early experiences are important in our social and psychological development. Now, this theory was developed in the 20th century after the World War II. Many children were dispersed from their caregivers and some were taken into institutions. Psychologists noticed that these children had problem with connecting psychologically or emotionally and also forming relationships, right? So John Bowlby, a psychologist and also a psychiatrist, decided to do an experiment on human behavior using the animal. And he found out that human beings are biologically programmed to form core attachment with their caregivers. Now, he also believed in three concepts. He had the three key concepts, all right? One is monotropy. That is, he believed that um, there is always one core attachment, which is usually the mother, okay? And also a critical period. He also believed that this attachment usually happens during childhood. Internal working model. For that, he believed that as the child continues growing, he has this template that will reflect in the later hours of life, like when the child is grown, he will begin to reflect the uh, how how the attachment happened when he was young. All right. Okay. After there was another psychologist called Mary Ainsworth, who was a very good friend to John Bowlby. Mary Ainsworth came up with the attachment styles. He performed as an experiment and named it the strange situation experiment, where he brought in mothers who had 1-year-old children in a playroom. So she could let these mothers go out for 3 minutes and come back. So in that process, she was able to capture how these babies reacted or behaved when their parents left the room and also when the parents came back, vice versa. Okay. He also captured the parents' side, the caregiver, that is the mothers. Okay. So she came up with so many attachment styles, but I'll talk about four. One is secure attachment style. Now, with this, when the mother is leaving the room, the baby is so much distressed, and when the mother comes back, the baby is usually easily comforted. All right, so putting this into real life scenario in the facilities, we have this. We have met these patients who are going for procedures. You see a patient telling you, "Nurse, doctor, I truly trust you." Even when you talk to them about drug compliance and so forth, they comply so well. Okay, he knows I've taken this drug, I'm gonna be okay. I totally trust my doctors and I trust my nurses. Okay, and then secondly, we have avoidant attachment styles. Now with this, uh, children, when their mother leaves the room, they are distressed. When the mother comes back, they are not. They have tend to avoid. Why? Because they tend to develop independence. They want to live without their parents. This is typical of children who are taken to boarding schools, like in kindergartens at a very young age. They know that their parents will go and throw them there, so they develop they develop independency. They develop that thing in them that they want to live independent. Okay, so putting this in real life application, we have these patients in the facilities who are bedridden, and patients who are bedridden are prone to pressure sores or uh, pressure sores. So in that, they need to be changed regularly. Okay, so you go to a patient, you explain to the patient that this is what we need to do, and then you see the patient is very hopeless, very sick. The patient is in a state where he cannot do that, but the patient will tell you, "No, I will do it." And then you turn around and see the patient is really struggling. Why? Because the patient grew up with avoidance style. They love to be independent. And then lastly, no, the third one, we have ambivalent. You can also say anxious. anxious attachment style. Now, this is where when the mother goes home, the child is a bit distressed, and when the mother comes back, the child is not easily comforted. Why? Because the child knows that anytime he will be left out, they're always insecure, they're always anxious. For example, we have patients in the facilities. Okay, so these patients, they are sick. Okay, they're always telling you, nurse, I'm feeling pain. Even when you've just given them the drugs, they're always anxious. Will I really be okay? 2 minutes has gone, I've not the headache has not gone, will I really be okay? So these kind of patients need consistent reassurance. Okay, and also lastly, we have disorganized attachment style. Now, this is linked to trauma. Kids who grew up in a very abusive environment. Okay, you grew up seeing your dad beating your mother, you grew up seeing all these things. Now, when the mother leaves, they don't know how to react, either to cry. They have so much love, but because they grew up with a kind of trauma, they don't know how to give it out. For example, in real life application, we talk about a pregnant mother. Okay, a pregnant mother who grew up with a disorganized attachment, grew up seeing the dad hitting the mother. Okay, now she's married, she's carrying a child, she's in labor, she sees the husband, she wants to go and rush and hug the husband. She had all the intimacy, all the love, but then she remembered that no, these men are not good people. So he will tend to run away and leave the man. Okay, so in summary, attachment theory helps shape us emotionally, in our behaviors, and also future relationships. Insecure attachment, we see how a child is socially skilled. He knows how to maneuver life, and he's always emotionally secured. And then in insecure attachments, these kids tend to grow up with so much challenges. All right, now understanding this theory helps nurses, helps doctors, helps parents, help teachers, help psychiatrists, and people in this field to support healthy development in children, and also to promote mental health. Thank you so much for listening.